Hello students, in this video I am going to discuss the program of inheritance for the students of class 12th computer science. Okay, so let's start without wasting your and my time. Okay, here I am with one program, one question of inheritance. Okay, in program of inheritance there will be two classes, one super class and one subclass. Okay, two classes details will be given in the question. So there is no mark for super class. Okay, there is mark for only for subclass. So there is no need to define the superclass. But still, I'm suggesting you to write the superclass because when we define, when we write subclass, then we need to take some references from the superclass. So if you will not write superclass, you have to imagine, you have to think, and when you start thinking, you will think something else. In the examination hall, each and every second is important. So better you write, it will take very less time. Better you write superclass than write subclass. Okay, there is no marks for superclass, but still I am telling you, write it. Don't take too much time, just write as soon as possible. And because when we write the subclass, no, that time we require some things from the superclass. So it will be written there, already if it is written there, it will be easier to take the reference, take the things from subclass to superclass to superclass to subclass. Okay, so better. It will not take more than 1 minute. Okay, so let's start. See here, two classes are here. One class name is worker, you can see. Another class name is what? Basis. Two classes are here. So I'm going to discuss this question. The superclass will be very easy, you know. See, class name is what? The name of superclass is worker. It has two data members. Name will be of string type. Basic, to store the basic payment in decimals, should be of double type. Okay. And this constructor, parameterized constructor, and this display function. Only this thing, these things will be there. यही होता है, कॉमन चीजें हमेशा ये रहती. So let's start. First of all, I'm going to type this. I've already written. I'm going to show you the solution. See, class name is worker. It has two data members, as I told, name and basic. And here, constructor is class name. You know what is constructor? Constructor is a function which name is same as the class name. So just a minute. Then class name worker done. Data members string name double basic done. Question I already have shown you. It has two data members. Now it has a constructor, parameterized constructor. You know parameterized constructor. What is a constructor? A function which name is same as the class name. Okay, it's a constructor. And so since it's a parameterized constructor, so here in parameterized constructor means it has, you can see it has two parameters. In parameterized constructor, we take the parameters for data members. We take the parameters for data members. So here I have taken one parameter n for name of same type, string type. Okay. And here again another variable I have taken, another parameter I have taken b for this data member basic. Okay. And let me tell you again, in parameterized constructor, we take the parameters for the data members. You can see this class has two data members, name and basic. One parameter we have taken for name, that is n here. And one parameter I have taken for basic, that is b here. Any name you can take other than any other name you can take for that data members. So this is the basic concept of constructor, which I've already explained in the video of constructor. Okay. So, and this we will store this n to this n we have taken for name. So name equal to n, basic equal to b. It's a very basic thing. Okay. Then one function, display function. Let me show you the description of display function. It is said to display the workers details. What details we have? What details of workers we have? We have only two things, name and basic payment. We have only two things now to display. What details we have? We have only two details, name and basic payment of this of the worker. Okay, so that we are going to display. So here I am displaying name equal to name and basic payment equal to basic. Okay, please don't use n and b here. Generally, this mistake you do, students, you use to print this the value of this parameter. Don't use this n and b. Always use the data members everywhere. Here I am using name. Generally, students start writing here n and basic n and b. That is, they have taken for the as a construct parameters of constructor. So please don't use the local variables. You should use everywhere. You should use the data members. This ये mistake होती है, ध्यान देना सब लोग. Okay. So define this super class defined. You can see only always a super class will have class name, data members, constructor, and display function. It's very easy to write. It will take less than 1 minute. Since I'm explaining, so it is taking time. The things you are already knowing. So please write the super class within less than 1 minute as soon as possible. It's very easy. I think you can understand it. Okay. Now coming to the subclass, which has 5 marks for subclass only. Okay. So the subclass name is what? Vases. Let me show you the subclass descriptions. The subclass name is what? Vases. It has 3 data members: HRS, rate to store the rate per hour, hours to store the hours worked by the worker, wage stores the overall wage of the worker. These 3 data members are there: rate and wage. Okay, and it has 3 functions: wages, that is what? A constructor, parameterized constructor. Here again, this function overtime and display function. 3 functions it has. So I'm going to this. I will come back to here whenever it is required. Don't worry. Now see. So class wages. This is what? Subclass. In this class, we have to inherit class worker, that is superclass. So you know how to inherit a class. To inherit a class, what we write? Class subclass name extends the class to which you want to inherit, that is written here. This is superclass, which we have already defined, worker. So class wages extends keyword is used to inherit a class. So here we are inheriting class worker into wages. Means what will happen? All the members of class worker, all the data members and functions will be the member of class wages also because of inheritance. Okay, so what we have done, we have inherited class worker to wages. Okay, and you know, if you are writing this line only properly, if you have written this line correctly, okay, then there will be 1 mark for this line only. There is only for this line there is 1 mark. Out of 5 marks, if you are writing this line correctly, you will get 1 mark. 1 mark will be given for this line only. So generally, what mistake you do in hurry? And generally, जल्दीबाजी में तुम क्या करते हो? ये चीज तुम लिखते नहीं हो. Please don't forget to write this. It's very important. It has a mark, 1 mark. Out of 5, एक number इसी का है. So please don't forget to write this. It's very important. Okay, generally we do not use to write, we have no habit to write extends and class name. Generally we write only class name. So in this, please don't do this mistake. Don't forget to inherit the superclass. It has a mark, so please remember this. Now coming to the next. Now we are declaring the data members. HRS will be of int type for the number of hours worked by the worker. Double rate per hour, and wage. 3 data members are there. Okay, so please remember this line. Now I am coming to the subclass constructor. This is subclass and it's constructor. It's very important. Listen carefully. So when we define subclass constructor, what we do when we define a subclass constructor, we just do one thing. Copy the parameters of, since it is also parameterized constructor. So when we define subclass constructor, what you should do, just copy the parameters of superclass constructor as it is. These are the parameters of superclass constructor. Copy these parameters as it is in subclass constructor. Means that string n and double b I have copied as it is. This is not a rule. You can take another variables also. Instead of n, you can take something else. But you have to think it again. Just simply just copy it. It will take less time. Just look at there, copy it. Means In subclass constructor, copy the parameters of superclass constructor as it is. It will take less time. ऐसा कुछ रूल नहीं है यहाँ पे, n की जगह पे कुछ कोई दूसरा वेरिएबल भी ले सकते हो, बट you have to think again. You have to think again a new name. Okay, so better copy it. It will take very less time. Okay, so I have copied the parameters of superclass constructor to here. Okay, this n and b for the superclass. Now we'll take the parameter for the subclass data members. Now we'll take the parameters for the data members of subclass. Means we have to take the parameter for HRS, and we have to take the parameter for the rate. Okay, and here I am not taking the parameter for wage because please remember this also. Here I have taken the parameter HRS, H for HRS, R for rate. Here I have not taken the parameter for wage because we are going to calculate the value of wage. So please remember this. We take the parameter for only those data members which value we are not going to calculate. जिसकी वैल्यू आगे कैलकुलेट नहीं करनी है, बस उसी के लिए हम यहाँ पे पैरामीटर लेते हैं. वेज की वैल्यू आगे कैलकुलेट करनी है. इफ यू रीड इट, इफ यू गो थ्रू द क्वेश्चन, वेज की वैल्यू कैलकुलेट करनी है. तो अगर वेज की वैल्यू कैलकुलेट करनी है तो हम वेज के लिए पैरामीटर नहीं लेंगे. वी टेक द पैरामीटर्स फॉर ओनली दोज data members which value we are not going to calculate. Okay, and here since we are going to calculate the value of wage, so I have not taken the parameter for this. I hope I am clear. ठीक है, फिर से मैं बता देना, जिस डेटा मेंबर की वैल्यू आगे कैलकुलेट करनी है उसके लिए पैरामीटर नहीं लेते. ठीक है, हम यहाँ पे सिर्फ HRS और रेट के लिए ही पैरामीटर लिए हैं क्योंकि इन दोनों की वैल्यू कैलकुलेट नहीं करनी है. ओके, नाउ कम हियर, just a minute. Now listen here. So this line, I hope it's clear. It's very important. Copy the parameters of superclass as it is, and now take the parameter for the subclass data members. This we have done. Now this is also very important line in this program. Okay, here what are we doing? We are calling the superclass constructor. Okay, this is the rule. We can call the superclass constructor from subclass constructor only. We can call the superclass constructor from subclass constructor only. This is subclass constructor. This is subclass constructor. Okay, and means again I'm repeating, we can call the superclass constructor from the subclass constructor only by using the super keyword in this manner. And one more and most important thing, it must be the first line of subclass constructor. It must be the first line. You can see this is the first line of this subclass constructor. This is very important. So again I'm repeating, we can call the superclass constructor by using super keyword from where? From subclass constructor. Okay, using the super keyword, and it must be the first line of the subclass constructor. Okay, what are you doing here? We are calling in this line we are calling the superclass constructor. It must be the first line, and by using super keyword we can call the superclass constructor, and it must be the first line of subclass constructor. So enough, I have explained. I think it's clear now. If it is not clear, you can ask through the comment section. And please remember this line also, if you written properly, is of 1 mark. Condition if you have written properly. If it is not the first line, remember that as I told, it must be the first line of subclass constructor. If it is not first line of the constructor, you will lose this 1 mark. It must be as per the programming syntax. You know, if you'll not write this as a first line of the subclass constructor, and when if you'll compile the program, that time itself you will have the error message. In computer, it will produce error, and in marks, in examination, Because of this, you will lose 1 mark. Please remember, it must be the first line, not second or third line. It must be the first line. It's very important. Okay. Then this H we have taken for HRS. This R we have taken for rate. So here we are calling, listen, coming back to here, here we are calling the superclass constructor. So the value of n will go to this n. We are calling this constructor, no? And the value of that b will come to this b. And the value of n will be stored into name. And the value of b will be stored into the basic. By this way, the data members of worker class will be initialized. Please remember what is the purpose of constructor. The purpose of constructor is to initialize the data members. So from subclass, we have called this superclass constructor by using the super keyword, and by this way we are initializing the data members of superclass data members. Okay. If you're writing this line also correctly, 1 mark for this. Then this H for HRS, R for rate, and since we have not taken data member, since we have not taken parameter for ways, so we are initializing it with 0. वेज की वैल्यू आगे कैलकुलेट करनी है, इसलिए हमने यहाँ पे पैरामीटर नहीं लिया. आगे चलते हैं. सो दिस इज दीज टू थिंग्स लेट मी टेल यू अगेन. Writing this line properly and writing this super and calling the super class constructor, these things are new in the programming of inheritance. With these two lines are actually related to the inheritance, so you must learn it. Then other functions are already, you are used to for this, what to do in that function, we are doing that. Simple logical functions hote hain, so that already these two things were new in the programming of inheritance. Okay. Then this function, what it is said, you have to go through that double overtime. Let's see the description of overtime. It is said calculate and return the overtime amount as hours into rate. Means here it is, we have to calculate and return the value of overtime. The formula is what? Hours into rate. So for hours, generally what you do, you used to write this only. Please don't copy this. There is a variable for hours, there is a variable HRS. For rate, there is rate variable, okay. But for hours, we have the data member HRS. So don't write hours. It is HRS. So it is said to calculate and return overtime amount as hours into rate. So that I have done. I have not written hours. You can see here we have data member HRS for hours. We have HRS data member for hours. So don't write hours. Don't copy from the question. Go through the data members, variables. The HRS into rate. So we are calculating and returning from overtime function. The return type of this function is double. So what we have done, we have calculated overtime by the formula HRS into rate. The value will be calculated and will be returned by this function. It is said to calculate and return. Then it a simple function hai, that you already know. Then void display. Now here calculates the ways using the formula. Now here we have to calculate the ways. The value of ways we have to calculate using the formula. Wage equal to overtime amount plus basic pay. So overtime amount, okay, I will tell you basic pay. For basic pay, we have the data member basic. Okay, so don't write basic pay, don't write overtime amount. This is not English, this is not math. We have to use the proper variable for basic pay, proper thing for overtime amount. Okay, so here for basic pay, which variable we have? Basic, we'll write. And for overtime, I'm telling you. See here. Okay, wage equal to, the formula we are going to calculate the wage. Wage equal to, see here I'm calling the function overtime. So overtime function will be called, and it will return the value of HRS into rate. That will come to here. When a function returns a value, control goes back to there from where it is called. So HRS into rate will be calculated and control will come back to here, and that will be added with basic. I have not written here basic pay, I have written the variable name which is there for basic pay. And over time I got like this, and both will be added and will be stored into wage variable. So we have calculated the value of ways. You can ask if you have any doubt still, if you have any doubt. Now, see, going to show you the description of this function again. To return, calculate the ways using the formula ways and display it along with the other details. Now we have to display also. So we are going to display. I'm going to display it. See. So wages calculated. The value of wage we have calculated by overtime plus basic. Then some details, name and basic payment we have already written in display function of superclass. Along with other details means we have to display everything. So some details means name and basic payment we have already displayed in this function of display function of superclass. Okay, and so here we are calling display function of superclass by using the keyword super. You know, superclass and subclass both have the same function, void display, void display. So if you are in this case, if you want to call the superclass display function, you have to use the super keyword. Now super dot display. If you write only display, let me tell you, this is the concept of function overriding. So if you're writing only display, this function will be called. Okay, because both superclass and subclass both have the same function, display, display, void display, void display. So if you're calling display function, only this function will be called. And if you want to call the same function of superclass, then what you have to write? Super dot display. So here I wanted to call that superclass display function. So I have written here super dot display. This is because of function overriding. Okay, please try to know what is function overriding, then it will be clear. So super dot display to call the first function, the superclass function. By that function, we will display the name and basic payment. Now other details, what we have, hours worked, HRS, rate per hour, rate, and total wage, which we have calculated here, we are printing. Simple. And here you will close the class. Don't define main function. Only there is the marks for subclass. So no need to define superclass also, but you can define superclass because you can see we are taking the references from the superclass. So it's better to write superclass. Even if there is no mark for that, please write it because you have to take some reference. Okay. So for this video, this much only. I hope I am clear to everyone. If any doubt anyone has, you can ask to the comment section. Okay. And thank you. Sorry for delay. Actually, uh, some problems were there, so I could not make the video yesterday. So sorry for delay. And please watch this video. And still any doubt, you can ask to the comment section. Bye to all. All the best.